Hello and welcome to Newsround, the programme where we take you around the emerging markets of Africa, Arabia and South Asia to keep up to date with what's what in the aerospace and defence industry. I'm Alan Peaford.
And I'm Marcella Nethersole, and I'll be bringing you all the main headlines straight after this short commercial break. Welcome back. India is set to allow Boeing 737 MAX jets to resume flights in the country within days, according to Bloomberg News. The country has been satisfied with the plane's performance since it was ungrounded in the US, Europe, and a number of other nations, and Boeing has met India's own requirements, which has included setting up a MAX simulator in the country. Flyadeal, the low-cost Jeddah-based airline owned by Saudi Arabian Airlines, has signed a long-term flight hour services agreement to support its A320 fleet. The agreement includes the 1,000th aircraft supported by Airbus flight hour services. The carrier will benefit from integrated material services, including spare pool parts access, on-site stock at the main base, and components and engineering and repairs. As Afghanistan's airspace has closed for commercial flights, including overflying, since the Taliban took hold of the country, Air India's non-stop routes from the US to India are being diverted so that they don't enter Afghan airspace. The flights will now divert to Doha or the UAE after refuelling flight to Delhi. Emirates and Airlink have announced the expansion of their existing partnership into a unilateral codeshare agreement, giving travellers to and from South Africa more access to more than 40 domestic and regional destinations across 12 African countries. Jazeera Airways this week took delivery of its 7th Airbus A320neo aircraft from Airbus in Toulouse, France. The airline's fleet now includes 15 aircraft with 7 A320neo. 2 more A320neos will be delivered this year. Saudi Arabian Military Industries, SAMI, has signed a logistics services agreement with Bahri. Under the agreement, Bahri will provide sea, air and land transport, as well as freight services to various businesses units and affiliated companies in the kingdom. Abu Dhabi Airports has signed a contract with Global Air Navigation Services for the provision of air navigation services. GANS will provide services at Abu Dhabi Airport's 5 airports as a part of a long-term strategic partnership. Silkway West Airlines has signed an interline agreement with Kenya's Astral Aviation, using Dubai World Central as the key transit point. Silkway West will carry shipments from its network to Dubai, handing over Astral Aviation's flight to Nairobi, where the freight will connect to its network. And finally, what do an Emirates cabin crew, the Crown Prince of Dubai and Tom Cruise have in common? I'll tell you, a great head for heights for a start. Emirates' latest advert features a close-up of the cabin crew holding up message boards in a nod to the famous scene in the 2003 cult hit Love Actually. As the camera pans out, audience soon find that the crew, with her iconic red Emirates hat and uniform, is actually standing at the very top of the Burj Khalifa, giving audiences a panoramic view of Dubai's skyline. She joins only a handful of individuals to stand at the pinnacle of the world's tallest building, including Tom Cruise and the Crown Prince of Dubai, Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. So Alan, you'll be pleased to hear I've put your name down as the next person to do it.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could do all the training for it, Ella. Emirates has actually pushed out some footage of the training and the risk assessments that the team had to go through to do that. It really was quite an incredible creativity. And the airline insists it is not a fake. Amazing, and a new way to have a mile-high experience. Well, other parts of the industry reaching new heights this week comes from the world of what we used to call future flight. Well, it's really the present, isn't it now? Top of the list was Kenya Airways, whose Fahari Aviation subsidiary signed up with Embraer's Eve, the Brazilian manufacturer's urban air mobility solution division. They have an MOU to jointly develop operational models for the wide accessibility of urban air mobility. Eve came out of what we knew as Embraer X, and the two sides are looking to co-create concepts and procedures to safely scale up an electrical vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. That's of course what we know as eVTOLs. Now Fahari, with the support of the airline and the Kenyan regulator, will establish an urban air mobility network in Kenya with all of the necessary air traffic management procedures, and indeed work with the airline into integrating into the traditional Kenya Airways operations. I know CEO Alan Kilavuka sees the potential of this, not just for Kenya, but for the region as a whole. Just as we saw Rwanda and latterly Ghana demonstrate and prove the value of drone-delivered medical supplies, this is a fantastic opportunity for Africa to lead the way with safe and pragmatic use of e-aircraft to aid tourism and general connectivity in rural or remote parts of their countries. Andre Stein, the president of CEO of Eve, told us that the creation of disruptive and widely accessible urban air mobility will help democratize mobility by making it more accessible, affordable, and giving communities more options. So hats off to Kenya Airways for this innovative approach to air mobility, and I hope other airlines will follow in supporting this move to make our industry more sustainable as well. Now, Embraer was also busy this week back in Brazil, where its first electric flight demonstrator successfully conducted its first flight. An EMB-203 Ipanema testbed has flown from Embraer's Gavio Peixoto facility. This is part of Embraer's ambition to be entirely carbon neutral by 2040, and the converted crop duster will allow for testing of battery and other technologies. Now, electric is seen as having great potential for the smaller, short-range end of the market, but Embraer actually said in a call this week that it's also working on hydrogen and SAF for its larger regional aircraft. Elsewhere, Scotland in the UK saw the first potential hybrid electric commercial flight with Embraer, who of course also has plans for Africa. They flew a converted 6-seat Cessna 337 on a series of flights on a route between Orkney Isles and John O'Groats in Scotland as part of a research programme to assess the viability of the technology on a commercial route. It was the first time a hybrid electric aircraft was operated on a commercial regional airline route in the UK, and the trials were funded by the UK government. Now, I think we're going to be hearing a lot more about these initiatives in the future. Watch this space. Ella.
Now back to the present. While most of the industry seems to be on vacation, in Turkey it has been business as usual. And this week has been IDEF, Turkey's international defence show. Our defence editor, John Lake, has been keeping an eye on what's happening there.
At Turkey's IDEF Defence Exhibition, which began on Tuesday the 17th of August, Turkish aerospace industries formally exhibited their National Combat Aircraft, or MMU, which we previously knew as the TFX. Turkish Aerospace President and CEO, Professor Temel Kotil, said that the company plans to roll out the first prototype, which is due to fly in 2026, on the 18th of March 2023. The 18th March is a really auspicious day for Turks, as it will be the anniversary of what we know as the Gallipoli campaign, but which Turkey remembers as the famous naval victory of Çanakkale, the prelude to the Turkish War of Independence. On that same day, the 18th of March 2023, Turkish Aerospace will conduct the first flights of both the Atak 2 combat helicopter and the Hurja advanced jet trainer. Also due to fly in 2023 and also being highlighted at IDEF is the new Mias unmanned combat aircraft system. This will be used as a loyal wingman to support the national combat aircraft and as a light attack aircraft on board the new Turkish landing ship, the Anadolu. Manufacturer Baykar says that the Mias will also perform strategic attack, missile attack and close air support missions, as well as the suppression of enemy air defences. So it's looking like it's going to be a really exciting and interesting exhibition. Back to you, Alan.
It's great to see another defence event happening for real. Just a reminder for the diaries as well, the World Defence Show is set for March the 6th to 9th, 2022 in Riyadh. And last week, the show organisers heard that the event has royal patronage from King Salman bin Abdulaziz bin Saud. That mark of approval tells me that this is a show that's certainly going to be unmissable. Now, the effects of COVID are everywhere in the aviation industry. And as one of the largest ground handlers and aviation services companies in the world, Dubai headquartered Dnata was hit hard by the pandemic. But as our GCC editor Jill Stockbridge found out, the company has come out fighting and has clear plans for its future.
So I'm talking today to Steve Allen, Executive Vice President, Dnata, who has just recently come into the role at the end of March at a very interesting time in Dnata's operations. The impact of COVID, obviously, for a ground handling cargo services company, has been immense, and yet the company seems to be weathering it well. Steve, congratulations on your new position. What have been the main challenges for ground handling and for Dnata coming through the pandemic?
Well, so certainly cargo has been our saviour, really, because cargo really only dipped to a maximum of about 20% less than pre-COVID. And actually right now our cargo movements are higher than they were before COVID. So cargo has kept our business going. But obviously the movement of passengers has been the challenge, and that's an area where all the airlines have suffered, and we've suffered as well. In terms of geographies, if you want to talk about geographies, certainly Dubai has been good. Dubai has remained open, and they've done an amazing job here, I think, of managing the whole recovery from COVID, and all of the rollout of the vaccinations and the disinfection of the city and everything really kept us open. And that's meant that Dubai, which is our hub and our biggest station, if you like, has always been around sort of 40 to 50% of pre-COVID, which is a good volume compared to other stations. If I take Singapore, it's 90% down on pre-COVID levels because it's all international traffic. So Dubai has sort of kept us going as well. We've then started to see the recovery of more domestic travel. So domestic in the US, domestic in Australia, domestic sort of around Europe sort of picked up a bit. Europe then went back down again, and this has been the nature of the whole recovery, as it's been a roller coaster.
Has this unexpected downtime in business, this hiatus, has it actually opened up any opportunities for Dnata as a company?
Yes, I mean, in terms of opportunities, I think what it does, every crisis brings innovation, and we have really seen people come forward with brilliant ideas that we've been able to trial and test. We've introduced some new processes for loading aircraft and safer ways of being able to carry the into the passenger cabins. But we've also introduced new technology. So we've got in Switzerland, we're trialing a UV disinfection system that goes up and down the aircraft aisle with UV lights that effectively will kill all germs and disease. That's something that could revolutionise the way we clean cabins in the future. In Dallas, we're trialling drones in the cargo warehouses, where the drones are actually enabling us to assess the amount of cargo we've got, build the pallets in the best possible way, and we're seeing an increase of 10% in the number of boxes you can get on a single pallet, because a computer is now working that out for us rather than doing it ourselves. So we are using it as an opportunity to sort of innovate, try new things, work with the many sort of new starter businesses that are coming forwards and taking this opportunity to also show us what they can do. And what we aim to do as a global company is, we're kind of trialing it in one location, but then if we see some real merit in it, then we'll roll it out right across all of our businesses around the world.
How do you feel this will affect ground handling as an industry? How do you see it going forward, the changes that will remain and the differences that will be in place?
I think in all parts of business things are going to change. I think for our industry there'll be more consolidation in the industry, in my view. I think obviously there's the winners and losers out of such a massive economic crisis. Most of the big handlers, I think, have got themselves in a position where they will continue to operate. They're financially stable and will be able to see the pandemic through, whereas some of the smaller handlers have suffered a lot more, so there's the opportunity for consolidation. I think also that the profession of ground handling has become very important, those that have reacted very well and work with their customers on ensuring that that they're fixing the issues for them rather than waiting to be told what to do, are now being held up as the ones that people want to work with going forwards. So we are looking to grow. We want to continue to invest, and I'm hoping that this will bring more opportunity in the long run, and we'll end up with more staff rather than less, and that's important to me. I mean, I think it's been horrible the last year for everybody concerned, and we've had to take tough decisions around some of our people. I'm really pleased to say we're starting to bring quite a lot of those back now in different parts of the world, including here in Dubai, and I'd like to think that we'll be employing a lot more people in the future than we ever did before.
There's no doubt that the past 12 months have brought immense challenges for Dnata, but it's also brought a certain number of opportunities and areas for innovation. And Steve Allen, the new Executive Vice President, seems to have set himself a very definite road to recovery. Over to you now, Alan.
So we've looked at the future and the present, but what about the past? The 1970s were an important time for the Gulf countries as many declared independence and celebrated nationhood. This year, we will see anniversaries galore. Kuwait celebrated its 60th year of independence. Qatar, Bahrain and the UAE all declared full independence in 1971. And the aviation industry has mirrored this. And it was great to see a new film from Bahrain released this month as its airline celebrates a platinum anniversary. That's 70 years of the first flight by Gulf Aviation in 1951 from Bahrain to Sharjah. And 50 years since the majority shareholding in the airline moved from BOAC to Arab ownership.
So one day,
you can see the film on the Gulf Air YouTube channel, and it really is worth watching.
While as ever you are watching films about aeroplanes, I caught one with lots of cuddly animals. It came up from Kenya Airways this week in support of World Elephant Day, reinforcing the airline and indeed the country's commitment to the protection of wildlife. Here is a clip from the film.
Wildlife is part of our heritage in Africa.
Wildlife in Kenya, to be specific, is the epitome of our global visibility.
Wildlife has always been very fascinating to me. I am particularly very amazed with their behavior they play within the ecosystem and also the contribution that they make, not just from an ecosystem point of view, but also from an economic point of view.
Well, sadly, that's all we have time for this week. We'll be back at the start of September, so until then, have fun and stay safe. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
How do we achieve ultimate defense interoperability? Inspired by Vision 2030, we are introducing the first of its kind, the World Defense Show. Integrating land, air, sea, satellite, and security.